Commission to order for its regular meeting of Tuesday, March the 22nd, 2016. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could I have a roll call vote, a roll call, please, Ms. Vanson?
Smith,
Here.
Murad,
Present.
Richardson,
Here.
Shadle. Here. Pop. Here. Buckler.
Here?
Morel.
Here.
Tangeri. Barnett.
Present. I now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February the 23rd, 2016 meeting of the Planning Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Morel?
don't we have to approve the agenda first?
Well, I guess we do. Yeah, I guess we better look at the agenda first. Sorry, I'm just moving us along here this evening. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Morel. Second? Second by Commissioner Murad. Discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, Ms. Vanson, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Richardson.
Yes.
Morel.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Shadle.
Yes.
Buckler.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Murad.
Yes.
Barnett.
Yes. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 23rd, 2016 meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Richardson. Second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shadle. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote.
Smith.
Yes.
Shadle.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Morel.
Yes.
Buckler.
Yes.
Murad.
Yes.
Barnett.
Yes. Now I'll entertain citizens' comments, or no, communications first, sorry.
All right. You've got DDA minutes. You have the DDA's, the Robina traffic study that they had asked Hubble, Roth, and Clark to take a look at, so you have a copy of that. You have communication regarding the Southfield Master Plan. It's long, that's why I did not copy it for you, but you can go online and look at it. And then information on Parking Day that Commissioner Tangeri had mentioned at the last meeting, and I thought that it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Thank you. Now I'll entertain citizens' comments. Any citizen who would care to address the Planning Commission on any topic not on our agenda may do so at this time. Citizens will have an opportunity to participate in discussions as we move through our agenda. Seeing no one rushing to the microphone, we'll close citizens' comments. They will have an opportunity to speak with citizens' comments later in the agenda. Ms. Vanson, shall we move on to item number 1?
Item number 1 is special land use, SU 0116, Andrew Gilbert, regarding 2782 Coolidge, east side of Coolidge between Franklin and Dorothea, is seeking special land use approval for an office in the downtown district in accordance with Berkley City Code, Article 5, District Regulations, Division 9, Downtown District, Section 138-418, Special Uses, subsection 1, offices or agencies when located on the first floor.
Ms. Pop?
Yes, I'm a neighbor of Andy and Lisa, and I just was wondering if I need to recuse myself.
Members of the Planning Commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Morel?
we're all neighbors of somebody here, more or less. If there's no, I appreciate the commissioner's concern, but if there's no financial or familial relationship,
None. Other
I
than.
mean, it's up to her, really, but
You feel you can be impartial?
I certainly do.
Okay.
All right, I don't have a problem with it.
Nor do I.
Mr. Smith, okay?
I'm fine.
Everybody okay? Okay, let's move along, let's move on to it. Is the petitioner here this evening? Let's ask us, would you please step up to the microphone? State your name and city of residence for us, and then give us a rundown of what you are trying to accomplish.
My name is Andrew Gilbert, and we live in Huntington Woods. We own the building at 2782 that was currently Berkley Eyewear. We've recently moved it down to 2680 Coolidge Highway, where we've bought another building. The 2782, that's my wife. The eyewear is my wife's business. The Van Dyke Mortgage is my employer. So we wanted to move my office from Farmington Hills to Berkeley and bring my employees and business down here. I gave you there's a letter attached to my permit, so
We saw
I think that was more
Yep.
detailed, but.
Okay. Questions from the planning commission?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Richardson?
Your letter mentioned another business that had been in there along with with your wife's business.
I think whoever wrote that, I think misquoted.
Okay.
Was that you that wrote that, Amy?
I thought you had advised me that you kind of had the financial going on at the back of the retail eyeglass. Did I misunderstand you?
Yeah. First of all, it's not a financial advisor. It's a mortgage company.
Okay.
Van Dyke Mortgage is a 28-year-old mortgage company that's based out of Grand Rapids. I am an employee. I'm a manager for them. We currently are in Farmington Hills in an office space out there. Obviously, I live in Huntington Woods. We have business in Berkeley. I'm tired after 15 years of driving back and forth, so that's my desire to move it closer. But I think where maybe got misrepresented is that I do the backroom work for Berkeley Eyewear. Meaning, I do the books.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's where, in my letter to you guys, I think that's where Amy maybe just misread it a little bit. I take care of the books for Berkeley Eyewear. Van Dyke Mortgage is a Farmington Hills-based office that has nothing to do with Berkeley Eyewear.
Sorry.
So this does involve a change in use for that particular premises.
Absolutely.
Fair to say, okay.
Eyewear to mortgages.
All right. And how many employees are going to be working there?
I have 8 employees that are not all stationed at the office. Some of them are they work online, so I mean they're home based. I have 3 employees that come and go from the office. I have a processor and 2 local agents.
So at any given time, there'll be 4 or 5 people on the premises?
Any given time, I'd say it's probably more likely that there would be 1 to 3.
Okay. I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, I assume you're going to put a sign in the window describing Van Dyke Mortgage. Would that be right?
I have some graphics, and I have them on my phone. I didn't print out versions of it. Our corporate office has designed some window graphics
Right,
that don't really have a whole lot of words on it. I think they used one of our company mottos that was, I think, 4 words long. And it was a picture, if you will, a picture of a person in front of a house, with the couple words that are on there. There were a couple of those images, and then of course a sign up on the sign, soffit. But I mean, I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into that.
Other than signage, are you contemplating any facade changes?
Painting.
Okay.
Other than that, no.
Thank you. I don't have anything further right now.
Other comments? Anybody else?
I have a question.
Ms. Shadle?
Will you have customers coming in and out in addition to employees, or?
Not a tremendous amount, but to say no, there would be 0 would be an inaccurate number. Again, in our industry, a lot of this stuff has gone over the phone and the internet and stuff. I mean, a lot of my production, my personal production, is phone driven. I mean, if I close 15 loans this month, I think I've met 2 of the people face to face. So there's not a lot of it, but I do have more and more. And my hope is that You know, I mean, in the last 6 years with Berkeley Eyewear, the one thing we've kind of learned about Berkeley is that Berkeley people kind of rally behind even the worst of businesses. And we're not a bad business at all. As a matter of fact, Van Dyke Mortgage is, you know, in the top 100, you know, lenders. You know, we're too big to be called small and too small to be called big. We did $1.5 billion last year. So my hope is that putting the name out on the street versus, you know, in a back office in Farmington Hills, buried in an office complex, is that we will get more business and we will create some of that walk-in. I mean, look, I know better than to say that it won't happen. So I'm looking to see that it's going to grow. It's going to start off, that portion of it will start off small, and I hope it grows. And maybe it'll grow into something bigger that will require us to expand as well.
I know there's some municipal parking credit for that location. What,
Yeah.
in that back area there, how many?
Like 25 spots or something.
But directly behind your business, is there 3 or 4?
Oh, directly behind, I don't know what the city calls it. We park anywhere from 3 to 4 cars back there, but we jog park them. I mean, you know, it gets a little difficult. The doctor who's, the therapist who's next door has a similar kind, so we've worked in, you know, tandem with each other, you know, stacking cars and what have you. But I think the city calls it 2 parking spots maybe. It's
Probably
either
too
2 or
accessible,
4.
Probably just too accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you're parking in.
And then, you know, then just, we say maybe 25 yards to the south is the municipal parking.
Fair enough. Very good.
Okay, anybody else?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Smith?
It states the building or your space is about 620 square feet.
Well, I think I over-exaggerated that because when I took a physical measurement and doing some of the design work, it turns out maybe it's more like about 590.
Okay, but what are the approximate dimensions of the space?
24 by 30-ish.
Okay. Amy, are there many vacancies along that stretch right now?
That immediate stretch with the municipal parking. I don't think so at this point,
No, I didn't think so. That's
No,
why I'm just
further-
asking. You would know
further s-
better.
Yeah, further south, there is a big vacancy, but that's past
But along
Talpa.
Cool, is that strip, it's done fairly well. It currently is doing fairly well as far as vacancy. Okay. Now, this is a special use.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, we're in our, what do we call this district? The,
Downtown.
Downtown, thank you. I guess I should put my glasses on. We have tried over the years with this district to promote retail over office. There's some retail, there's some office. We really don't know what the magic number is.
No.
And tomorrow will be a different magic number than it is today, right?
Perhaps.
Okay, you do own the building.
Yes.
Does the special use go with the building, or does it go with this?
You can
Business.
stipulate it that it
Okay.
go just with this.
That's a big distinction, because we've had this discussion
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, you have to distinguish it, but yeah.
Right,
You can
okay.
put that stipulation on any recommendation you would make to council.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions by anybody?
That was gonna be my question about the use. Does it stay with, I was gonna ask that same question about the use, whether it stays with the property or the business, so.
Okay,
I'd like to comment on that.
you can.
I think that's kind of an unfair burden, you know, on me as a property owner. Forget about the fact that I want to use it as, you know, an owner-occupied, you know, business, which I think is obviously the strongest business. There aren't a whole lot of uses for a 590 square foot retail location. You kind of capping me with that. You know, let's assume for a second that maybe I want to rent it out, or, you know, I mean, I'm 52 and I'm going to retire hopefully, you know, in the somewhat near future. I mean, I suppose anybody can come back and petition you guys again, but just, you know, to kind of pigeonhole me on that, you know,
If I may,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman.
Sure, Smith,
What's
go ahead.
your concern? I guess my concern was to try to help you. What was your concern with that?
I guess none other than the fact that if I choose not to occupy it in a couple of years, that I'm not going to, I'm going to have a very small pool of potential renters,
As far as retail, are you saying? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess my question is, sometimes special uses go with the land or go with the property, perpetual. And that's something that we may or may not like, depending on the situation. Here, it is a special use. We're inclined, at least I am, to allow it for this. But should you, in a few years, leave, I think we'd rather see a retail use in there. I'm just one person of the 8 or 9 here tonight. But it doesn't mean that, hey, there's been a office use in this space for the last 3, 6, 8 years. It thrived. Somebody else wants to have another office in here. I think the planning commission would be very receptive to that. But we don't want to say this is going to be forever an office use, because we are looking for commercial, retail in this strip. So that's the only reason I brought that up, if that clears it up. But we're not trying to burden you with at least I wasn't intending to burden you with anything here.
so that someone has an opportunity to come back then.
Absolutely, you're here now. Next guy could.
You're here?
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody here is totally negative or adverse to it. You own the building. You have a successful business. You're bringing another business into Berkeley, which we tend to like. So if someone else did that, we may or may not be here. I don't think I can't predict the future, but I wouldn't think that the result would be too much different. I can't predict it. But. So I'm not trying to burden you with anything.
Anybody else, any comment?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Morel?
The thing for me is that I don't necessarily have a problem with an office on the first floor in this situation. The thing for me, and I think for us, when we establish the downtown districts, is we're trying to maintain a character where businesses face the street, where people can see that there's something going on, where it isn't all just curtains or, worse yet, blocked off windows. And an office doesn't have to be that way. And so it pleases me that you're not going to change the building. And if you were going to change the building and wanted to take all the windows out of the front and close off that door because everybody's going to come in the back anyway, that would be a problem. Because that's what I think with the downtown district, that was the essence of what we were trying to prevent. And that's-
Are you familiar with this building? Mm-hmm. Okay, because right now it has a screening on the front windows,
Yep.
which we've looked at replacing that in some form or fashion with some kind of artwork. Very little words, but mostly visual. So, no, whether we change the windows out, or what, and fix the facade because it is getting older and one of the window panes is beginning to rot out, which is going to, eventually have to be done as well. No, the intent would be to keep that look absolutely there.
That's the key for me and what makes this work for me, is that you're not going to tear the building
I
down
think that's
and
the
build
asset
an
here
office.
for me personally. I think that, and I for lack of better terms, the advertising, the marketing ability of Coolidge Highway, back and forth, that's my asset right there.
Okay. No, that's really all I had.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
Yeah,
Smith?
well, Mr. Morel is exactly right. If you were to come back and say, I want to put an office in this building, I'm going to brick up the front facade and put a steel door, well, then no, we don't think so. But the fact that I didn't see anything changing the facade, so that was you're leaving it, whether it's actually a retail space or an office or some other kind of business, we're really more concerned about, or a big part of our concern is about what it looks like.
It's going to be very inviting and
fine.
retail-ish looking, if you will.
Okay.
Okay.
Not gonna have the Budweiser for $8.99 banners all over the windows? Okay.
All right. Any other comments? All right, then what I'm going to do is open up for a public hearing. Any citizens who would care to address this issue, please step up to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and you may have the floor. Thank you. Well, I don't see any residents coming up to the microphone to make any comments, so I'll close the public hearing. What is the desire of the planning commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Morel,
am I correct that this is a recommendation?
this is a recommendation to city council.
Well, then I move that the planning commission recommend special land use SP, SU-01-16 for approval.
Do you want to put a condition on it?
I can't think of one at this moment.
Mr. Richardson?
Just for clarity, are we allowed to condition this on the business or on the owner or on the property or any of those choices?
Well, typically a special land use, it would run with the property unless you stipulate that you want it to be for this particular business.
For this particular
For
business.
Van Dyke Mortgage, yes.
Okay, well then, let me offer an amendment to the motion that the recommendation be conditioned on maintaining the business that the applicant has said he's going to put in to the premises.
Would you agree to that?
Mr. Chairman, I make no objection, but I think we have to have a second first before I
Well,
can,
yeah. Do you want,
technically.
I second and
he's seconding it
Offering.
and making the motion.
Amendment as
He's
stated.
he's asking for an amendment. I have no objection to that, to the amendment that,
Okay. No, I was planning on making a motion or a second, but I can sit back now.
Okay. No to chair. Okay. Any discussion on any of this? Okay, hearing none, Ms. Vanson, would you please have a roll call?
Shadle,
Yes.
Morel,
yes.
Buckler,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Richardson,
yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Murad,
Yes.
Barnett.
Yes, this will go to city council for their consideration. I don't know what meeting it'll be on. Will it be in the?
April 4th.
April 4th? April
next
4th meeting, next meeting. It'll be on their agenda. Thank you for.
Good luck.
being a- And good luck. All right, we'll move on to item number 2.
Item number 2 is site plan review, SP 0116, John Marusich for William Winter regarding lots 13 through 15 of the Thomas Park subdivision, east side of Greenfield between Oxford and Catalpa, is requesting site plan approval for the development of a 12-unit apartment building.
Is the petitioner here this evening?
Petitioner emailed me today saying he was coming.
He's
Wanted to know
coming.
if he needed to bring an easel. So, I don't know if you want to take comments ahead of time, or you want to postpone it, and, I don't know what you want to do.
Interesting. Okay,
Because this is the Greenfield district, people get notified, so.
Yes.
You received a couple of letters.
Nope, here comes the tour.
Someone's coming in. They have an easel.
I hear an easel.
You're up.
It's a fun cue.
Must have been watching on the internet.
Okay, you're up.
Be tabled. Nope, 7:30 meeting.
Oh, this current.
MDOT standards for digging and sodding. 18 inches of concrete, 10 inches of concrete, that thing.
Probably toward the audience. All the planning commissioners have it. But you will have to use the mic for folks watching in television.
We're gonna speak up.
Okay, I guess we're ready to go. All right, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Good evening, my name is John Morosich. I'm the architect for the project, and along with me is Dan Winter, who's the owner of the project.
You want to explain to us exactly what you're proposing here?
We're proposing a 12-unit, one-bedroom apartment building on Greenfield Avenue.
That's all you want to say about it? Anybody want to say anything about it or any further than that? Okay. All right, Planning Commission.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Buckler, Miss Buckler. Miss
Okay.
Buckler, you may have the floor.
Thank you. Are these low-income apartments?
No, they're
or-
not.
They're not? Okay. I have a second question. There's an awful lot to digest in Amy's review for what has been submitted to date. Have you made any progress on any of the items that are in, with respect to the landscaping, with respect to the lighting, with respect to the fencing or wall, the height? I think there was a scaling issue. There's a lots and lots of little things that we don't normally see at this phase of the review.
I can go through and address all of them.
Okay.
Well, let's start number one. What kind of roof is this thing gonna have?
A flat roof?
A flat roof? Because the documents we show, it looks like we got a hip roof.
Yeah.
Site plan shows us a hip roof.
It has a hip?
I think
Site
it's a-
plan probably shows the way the drainage of the flat roof is going to proceed.
So it's going to be a flat roof.
Yes. You'll see that there's a ridge down, a depression in the middle of the plan. I'm looking at the gentleman's plan there. And the slope will be towards two catch basins that will be located on the flat of the roof. The elevations show a flat roof.
Have you seen Hubble, Roth, and Clark's
Yes, we have.
comments yet?
We have. You want to address those, Dan? Couple rough and, okay.
Hi, my name is Dan Winter, here on behalf of the development. The Hubble Roth, we had a civil engineer, Mason Brown, who did the preliminary for the planning board, our understanding, the engineering that was required. Did definitely get that to him 2 days ago, Mr. Mason Brown, and he's already working on those things, but our understanding at this level, and I did note that there was quite a bit of, I think, 5 pages to be exact. My understanding was that those were final engineering plans that would certainly be addressed as far as retention and soil borings and MDEQ and that type of stuff. So I think what he addressed was specifically what was asked for that we were given, which was 3 items showing Alta survey, where the stormwater, everything was at. So certainly everything that's on there will be addressed, and we know that that's a requirement for planning. I think most of it was talking about the water main, the sewer, the detention, showing the cross-traffic, all the normal stuff that you would see in a site plan, and that certainly will be and is starting to be addressed, because we just got this letter 2 days ago.
Okay,
3
so
days
you
ago.
haven't, you're just getting into all of that.
Yes.
There
then-
was a request too, it looks like you're gonna have to put fire suppression in this
I
building?
just saw that letter as well. We're not aware of that requirement.
Okay,
We will do it. But yeah, whatever, and again, the lighting, you brought up a good point. The lighting architect is a local Berkley company. Architectural Resources, I think there was comment on there that it didn't show where the locations were. And I would agree that they were not very clear, but he did go ahead, and I have a copy of it, rework it based on the comments right away. He just sent it to me tonight. And I did note the lumens, some areas were brighter, and I guess the way I would address it is whatever is required based on lighting and engineering would certainly be addressed to meet the city requirements that are part of the development.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Richardson?
have you worked out exactly how high the building is going to be? There was some confusion expressed on that.
Maybe there's a discrepancy in the way the drawings scale, but our building is 36-foot height as noted on the drawings.
Okay, so there, as I understand our ordinance, then, you're required to have 30 feet of side yard separation from the residence to the north. On the plan, it's showing 20.8 feet.
We're prepared to address that issue and move the building 10 foot over to meet the ordinance requirement.
Okay, I have a, I have a question regarding the front and the back entrance. I certainly, first of all, let me be clear, I certainly understand that someone who's a potential resident of this development would want to have, you know, the bulk of their activity, if you will, toward the rear of the building to isolate themselves from all the noise and et cetera on Greenfield. However, as I picture it, this building does not, well, it does not have any kind of entrance off Greenfield now, as I understand it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
To me, that, well, we ordinarily do require an entrance fronting on Greenfield. And to me, there's a bit of a aesthetic issue with just having glass and brick facing Greenfield. I wonder if you've given any consideration to having two entrances, one in the front and one on Greenfield and one in the rear. Perhaps having this, a corridor for the stairs in the middle of the building. Can you comment on that
Sure.
at all?
Well, the major emphasis of the design is to have a facility that faces the park. This is probably one of the few places where you can have a location along Greenfield residence and have views across to a very pleasant park. Okay, that's why we call it Green Park. That's why we have what we're doing. Now, you can't park on Greenfield, so there's a level of practicality associated with the fact that someone parking their car on Greenfield, walking to the front, say as a visitor. So we just felt that how we address that issue is to have a sidewalk that wrapped around the building that came to the Greenfield. So that's our entry. That's what we're proposing. And there is a security factor, by the way.
What about delivery people and the mail person?
On the rear of the building, we will have a, facing the parking lot, we'll have mailboxes, 3 boxes per each entry door to each of the unit stackings, and that's how the postal clerk will deliver the mail.
All right, well, I'm just going to withhold judgment because you're not anywhere, you're still got a ways to go before you finalize your plan, but I wanted to express
Well, that's the answer to that question, I just so you know.
my concern.
But you see my point about the entry not really having a practical relationship to any functional means of anybody, pedestrian or otherwise, accessing the project.
You just have one door for the entire,
We have 4 doors.
okay, okay.
We have 4 doors.
A common door?
Each door addresses 3 different levels
Okay.
of the building. You come in one entrance, and then you have a first floor access. You walk up the stair to the second floor, and you walk up the stair to the third floor.
Okay.
So there are 4 entrances to the rear of the building.
Okay, well, you know, I mean, it's possible you can present us with a facade that does face Greenfield that is pleasing, that is not in clashing with the rest of the street. I'll reserve judgment on that.
It's a contemporary design, I admit. It's not conducive to the existing buildings, which are probably 50-plus years old. I agree.
Other comments? Martin?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Martin Smith?
I have a number of comments.
Sure.
The 6-foot-high screen wall on the east side, the back. What color is that?
That color will be the color will match the brick of the building.
Which is?
It's a brown.
Okay, we weren't privy to that. That's so you have a dark brown brick?
Yes.
Okay. On both sides?
All sides.
Okay. What is the extent of the fence along the north side? It's not clear, or maybe I'm not reading this right. It says from the northeast property corner to opposite the eastmost face of the building. So,
Let me turn this around so I can address that issue.
okay,
Right here, there's a line with X in it. There's a continuation of line of X. It returns from this point right here.
oh, at the rear face of the building?
Yes.
Okay, okay, I didn't see that little X there. It's a little blurb.
That was an issue that needed to be
It's a
addressed.
blob. We'd probably want that extended to at least to the front of the building, I would think, would we not?
Or the front of the house.
Or the front of the house, because it stops at the back of the house, and the whole point is to give a little bit of a shield. Okay,
So right here's where we located the house.
But,
So-
but I would add, given the height of the building,
yeah, it's,
that's gonna affect the setback that's required.
well, yeah, and that was already alluded to, I'll bring that up again. Yeah, he mentioned they'll move the building south.
So if the building's gonna be further south, then maybe it'd be nicer to have more space rather
Be
than a
also,
fence.
maybe be nice to have, a thick landscaping instead of a vinyl fence,
Right,
which
so
At
that,
that point.
most likely will not get maintained, and,
Well.
but landscaping would be. So, since you're moving the building, yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies between the civil and the architectural. And, the first question, is it 30, or is it 36, or is it 32 and a half feet high? So you answered it
The
as
civil
36.
engineer did make a mistake on the height.
But it
The building
thir-
is 36-foot
right,
height.
And they're all one-bedroom units. from
They're all
what I could
one-bedroom
tell.
units.
They're not 1 and 2.
Again, the civil engineer made a mistake of not acknowledging that.
So,
So we're clearing that up for you.
when you
tonight.
move this building south, what are you gonna take the 10 feet out of?
Out of the adjacent sidewalk and
You have you have
landscaping.
10 feet on either side of a 5-foot sidewalk, so you have 25 feet there.
So we're probably maintaining the sidewalk in the center and taking 10 feet out of each side of the
So
sidewalk.
you'll take 5 out of each of those green spaces?
Correct.
Okay.
And we'll, again, the issue is that all these comments will be addressed in a revised plan.
That's fine. I'm one of 8 or 9.
Sure.
But
These are all valid comments.
they will, this isn't ready to be approved at this point, so you realize that. Okay, we're not gonna be approving this tonight. There's some things that need to be finished and coordinated. I found the site lighting fixtures. If you put a magnifying glass, there's 3 points that says SA,
oh,
Site A. And when you come back, would like a little bit bigger photometric plan that we can
One that
read.
represents the same scale as the drawings.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
And the values, and one of the comments you saw in there was that the foot candle values at the property line. We don't have foot candle values at the property line. They're 4, 5, 8 feet inbound. But if you interpolate it from that point towards the fence or towards the wall, it's gonna be well over the 0.1 or the 0.5, yeah, depending on where you are in some locations. So when they redo this plan, blow it up, get us a foot candle value at or very near the property line.
Right at the property line, as
Right.
opposed to being on either side
Yeah,
of the
because
property
right now,
line.
as I interpolate it, 5 or 8 feet beyond it, they're pretty darn close. There's a couple spots, but 5 or 8 feet inbound, they're very high. So it's high at the property line, okay?
Good point.
And 30-foot standards? Okay, well, that would make more sense.
That makes
Okay.
more sense.
He did adjust, not to follow John, but he said
talk over John.
revised plan, it now shows one pole at the rear, and I know that the fire marshal was hoping to have it moved a little south, which he did do.
Relative to this one, am I correct, Dan?
Well, just correct that, yeah, we'll just correct that on the, this is hard to read. And we need something along the property line, because you have neighbors. And these are LEDs, they can be shielded, they can be directed, we just want to make sure that it does what it's supposed to do. So, okay. That was my next comment,
That's
right?
the next comment.
No, that's okay, that's okay. Let me make some notes.
Not the wall.
Okay, and you have comments, or you will be getting comments from the Public Works, Fire Marshal, City Engineer, and all that.
They've gotten them. Yeah,
Those are the ones.
they
Yeah,
got them.
we've got them.
Okay, grading. I look at the grading plan. This is always an issue when we have neighbors. They're concerned, rightfully so, about where the runoff is gonna go. Now, you have a field, underground field here that's engineered. Now, that's gonna get pinched when you move the building 10 feet south, so your underground
Obviously, that
storage.
adjustment's gonna have to be made.
So that'll have to be re-engineered. There's a few spot grades around the perimeter of the site. And they're within a couple hundredths of a foot. Typically lower, a couple hundredths of a foot higher in a couple cases. We just want to make sure that the property, the water, the storm water is retained on the site. There's no runoff to the neighbors. Like to see some more grading, spot grading around, because, you know, there's 150 feet and there's one every 50 feet or so, and who knows? I know it's a relatively flat site, you can tell by the grades and everything, but, no, it's okay.
Our understanding for the purpose.
Probably should talk to the microphone.
Oh, I was just gonna say, our understanding for site plan approval was that we were just meeting certain requirements, and these letters were addressing final engineering, but all of them will be addressed. They
Okay.
certainly are valid points, and definitely.
That's fine, and, but we need to be assured
Oh, yeah.
that it's gonna be, taken care of and it's done right. And you obviously, you will have engineering drawings going to the engineering department who are much wiser than these things than some of us. So, but I just wanna,
It's a 15-year storm.
I'm making a statement more than anything else, that,
Understood.
that's something you'll need. Okay, and you mentioned the light fixtures. The dumpster enclosure, there's no details, we need to know what it is, it looks like it's masonry. We need some doors on it.
You need full drawing documentation as well as
Absolutely.
colors, and it's gonna probably relate closely to the design of the back wall
Sure.
on the east side.
That would make sense. And I think Amy had an item in there that this last space on the south needs to be a 10-foot space. 'Cause
We'll
we
be
have
moving
dumpster
the
wall.
all the parking to the north to accommodate that required space.
How's that last guy get out of his parking space?
Yeah, that's my concern.
Are you talking to the north?
The north, the last guy in the north.
The north is not, that's not a parking space there?
That's a,
That's a specifically put there for a area for maintenance to plow snow there.
I see a space that's hatched off. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that's hatched
What about
off.
in the northeast corner? How's
we're
that,
talking about this one right here.
how's that
This one here?
person get out of their parking space? They back all the way across?
He doesn't
without-
know where you're talking, Marty. He doesn't know
I'm
which
sorry, the
spot.
I said northeast corner, yes.
Right here,
Yeah, northeast corner.
right there.
Ah, okay. This one,
I think you required 24 and you have 25.
Well, one has to be a van accessible one.
right, that's.
They have a
So-
van
They
accessible.
have to have 25.
You have to have, not, if people, if one of the residents does not need the van accessible spot, they don't have the barrier-free sign, they
Okay,
need
so they need the
24.
extra, right.
24 plus a spare.
Thank you. Okay. Well, we'll let you figure that out. Just know that
I'm pretty sure.
it's not impossible.
I don't think it's a spot, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, okay, I just want, just another statement, be aware that that's a difficult one for someone. And can we get some landscaping other than grass?
You will
see
have a very
anything?
beautiful landscape plan with brought
Okay, you'll
to
have
you.
that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We did have a very extensive conversation with Amy in regards to that, and she was very thorough in making a comment, and we respect that.
Okay.
You want to talk, John, about the patios being recessed and
I don't think we should talk to him unless you bring it up. No.
what I do.
No. There was a comment. Since you brought it up, Dan, we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. On where it says outdoor spaces, it says each apartment has a balcony or patio facing Greenfield. It isn't clear how the private patios will be screened or partitioned from the more public green spaces. What Dan was addressing is that we've recessed the balconies on the first floor to be separated from each other. The particular comment I think that was made was that how do we screen from the front? And we don't want to screen from the front. The whole idea is have that open view to across the street.
in other words, the units will be recessed, they're going to be set back with patios, open your sliding door, you would have
As opposed to patios that are on the outside.
landscaping that will get out of control and not look well. And then in the front, to keep an open view seems to be the more urban look as there's proposed sod that will be irrigated. So you have 12-foot wide by of frontage across here.
But we'll show some landscaping at the base of the building, which will give a little more
We
of
would like some
a
landscaping.
refined character.
So-
But we're not having screening is the issue I think we're bringing up.
So we brought up the patios, so on the second and third floor, the balconies are recessed into the building.
Yes,
The
and
first
the-
floor is gonna be similar.
Similar, yes.
That's fine. Stormwater from the roof conductors goes into your storage, into your storage?
Into our storm retention.
Do you by code need a barrier-free unit?
We have addressed the issue of having one barrier-free unit provided on the first floor, and that's what we're
Okay, the new plans will reflect that.
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
It'll be at the right closest to the handicap parking spot that you would.
And we talked about fire suppression already.
Totally fire suppressed.
Where is, and that's not one of our requirements, that's a building code requirement.
We understand.
Where are your HVAC units?
Right now, we're reviewing two different types of units. One of them is a Magic Pack type of unit, which will be in-wall, through-wall. Another one is like a Mitsubishi electric unit, which will be located on top of of like a closet. It'll be totally located, so there won't be any necessary venting. And the all condensers would be located on the roof and reset.
Please show that.
I know you would be asking that, yes.
I think we're leaning toward the Magic Pack ones, and they would basically vent on the side, if you're on the second and third floor, they would be, if you look out to the patio to the left. So they would
They're
take
gonna vent, they're gonna vent into the patio?
They would take the fresh air into there.
And they so, on those units, there's typically 24 by 36 inch grill. So that would be on the facade, on the front facade.
You would not see it exposed, it would be parallel to the wall, the separation wall.
Yeah.
Inside the patio.
They'll be located in these walls right here. And we'll be having sliding glass doors instead of these operable doors. So the Magic Pack.
Okay, so that door, that swing door you're showing currently will probably be the access door to the
the
little
unit.
room that these
Yeah.
units are in. Now, where would the grill be? You will show us that on the future. So it will be on the front facade, okay,
And we'll show that.
okay.
Now that I know we're using Magic Pack units.
Yeah, you don't want to use electric here. Magic Packs are fine. Okay, colors. You have a color board
Well,
there.
this is gonna be a hardy board, cement board. This particular color represents the color of one of the natural selections on the hardy board, and this is a moss green, okay? The brick is a brown brick to be determined selection. And then basically, it's a anodized aluminum, dark bronze frame
For all the windows?
for all the windows, clear glass, no tinting.
Okay. We're not aesthetic police here in Berkeley, but I'm not impressed with the elevations. I'd like to see a little detail on it, but like I said, we're not Birmingham or Huntington Woods that will nitpick how thick your mutton bars are on your, and nothing against them, that's what they do. but I'd like to see a little more
Finesse.
detail, finesse, whatever on the elevations. It's very stark. I know we're on Greenfield, but that's my opinion. I'd just like to see a little more something on the facade of the building. But again, we're not design police here. So, I think I beat that up enough. Seal your drawings when you come to us, please. I don't know if I had anything else. I'll rest. Let someone else, if they have anything to say.
Anybody else want to make Mr. Murad?
So, as I sit here and look at this, and I wonder, why'd you push the building all the way to the north to crowd that house? I know you're gonna move it 15 feet from the property line, but I'm thinking this is a pretty big, massive building, and there's this little, I think it's a one-story house there, or a little bungalow. And I'm thinking, granted, if I were the neighbor, I wouldn't want that big, massive building, but then I wouldn't want your driveway there either. And I just wondered, sometimes I wonder if maybe it would make more sense to have the window or the building pushed to the south from the driveway to the north of the building. Flip it, basically, on the site.
I think the thought was, traffic-wise, like you said, to the south is a parking lot there.
Right.
And again, in deference to the neighbor, rather than having constant traffic, and I think we addressed the fact that we would be moving it, 10 feet to the south to give them more buffer.
Okay.
But I think that was the thought, was to use an adjoining parking lot as an access, which is the only access to keep it away from the residential.
All right. It's just, it's something I'm sitting here looking at it and thought. The other thing is, because you're turning this space, this parking space to the northeast, you're saying it's not meant to be a space, so you're down to 24 spaces. So is that still okay for them?
No, we'll be maintaining the parking requirement, as Amy has discussed. We'll have 24 regular spaces and one handicap space. I think that the issue here is that we're not going to be compromising on that. I think we have to revisit how that particular spot is going to be relocated in accordance to your comments.
Beyond that, I think Commissioner Smith covered just about everything else.
Part of the reason why the building is forward is because the parking lot's to the rear, and I think aesthetically having the parking lot to the rear is a better decision as opposed to having the parking lot in front of the building or portions of it. So I understand, your comment, and I think Dan addressed the issue about, we thought that having the drive to the south would actually be a better solution, especially when you consider at night cars pulling in and pulling out, the lights flashing against the building. So, that was part of the reason for all that. We have to have a certain amount of space, trying to accommodate a certain amount of building, and if we, I hate the term, lesser of the evils.
Right.
Yeah,
I understand that too, and I just thought, because Commissioner Smith brought up the screen wall, and, so if you brought the screen wall up to the front of the house with that flipped, it would cut out some of that, but then that driveway is also right off of the property line, so the driveway would be very close to the house, so it was a thought I had.
No, it's a good point, and it is part of the balance of how you make the decisions. Okay. Now, I think the landscaping which will be forthcoming will demonstrate that, and all of that, as noted, will be required to be irrigated.
And then what's the square footage of each of the units?
They vary slightly, but they're basically about 750 to 800 square feet, single bedroom units.
Had you considered less units and mix of one and two bedroom?
It's an interesting question, and in different locations where I've done work, right now the market is more one bedroom in studios, actually, and it's amazing how in Birmingham they want one bedroom in studios, and you can't afford, from the perspective of urban economics, to provide that type of dynamic. So we believe that this will be a very fast apartment unit sale, or rents-ups will be immediate. This is more the mode of what you might call the millennial market.
Okay.
And we believe that, you know, a lot of the people that may be coming from Beaumont will just jump into this particular unit.
Right.
That's our focus, is that
The
type.
The other thought I had too is I know you have 4 distinct doors for each, you know, each
Tower, so to speak,
tower,
or, yeah.
And I kind of wondered, why not just have two stairwells and feed 6 units off of that stairwell?
Well, then we have to have corridors. You say, you know,
But you already have a corridor. in
well, you know,
essence.
again, we're stacking units, we're minimizing the amount of corridor, and, you know, another, let's say amenity feature is the privacy
Okay.
aspect of it.
All right.
It just seems to work better for, you know, when you don't want to be seeing all your neighbors at the same time, you'll be limited to a section of
3 neighbors, okay.
There'll be a key, there'll be a key to get in the front door, and then there'll be a different type of keying of that particular key for the individual units.
All right.
Other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Moreau?
It took me a while to like this site plan, I will admit. But now, you know, I understand, I kind of got it why the driveway was on the south side, and I think that was actually a good decision. I do agree that the building needs to be moved farther south. In fact, if you take that storm field and move it to the north side of the building, I think you'll find you can just about center this building on the site, and that actually might be its best destiny. Something for you to look at. That's not
Oh, good
my
point.
job. What are you planning for signage? Anything?
Amy, and I think, if I'm not speaking out of line, there was a fascia signage allowed and/or monument sign, if that sounds correct.
One or the other, yeah.
The other. So we had not solidified that, I guess, as far as an answer, but we're certainly looking to put, the address is of note, it's 2400. So we're thinking of large numerals to identify it that way as far as the address goes, because it is an even number and it is a numeral from the city. So we're thinking large numeral, you know, 2400, and then undetermined at this point whether to go with a, I think it was 15 square foot, if I'm not speaking out of line, monument sign, maybe with some information on it, but haven't got that specific yet. But it would be one or the other, I think is what's allowed.
Okay. If it's a, you know, if it's a monument sign, it should show up on the plan. If it's gonna be on the building, it should show up on the elevations. I mean, just trying to, planning for what you're gonna bring us next time. You know, regarding the elevations, I do agree that they're a little bit flat, but I appreciate the fact that there is no attempt to turn this into a residential building, because I don't think I've ever seen that actually successfully executed. And when you look at the apartments that have been developed along Greenfield, where they've tried to make them look residential, it just didn't work. And so I kind of appreciate that, and I think for the demographic you're trying to market to, this isn't a bad design. It's missing the smaller details, which will help explain it, I think, to Commissioner Smith, from that side. Up in the southeast corner, it's the no
Of the
man's
site?
land behind the dumpster enclosure.
Go back to this one.
I mean, right now, the person who lives in Lot 94, presuming they don't have a fence, could pretty much just kind of walk through there. I think we're going to need to kind of close that off a little. I think ultimately, I'd like to see that screen wall taken all the way to the corner.
It is all the way over, he just moved it up because there's a utility line that runs.
Well, I understand that the dumpster can't be there.
He would like to have a continuous wall, is what he's saying.
You need to,
Yeah.
there, you know,
Yeah, I thought it was. I think
Yeah.
you just
There's a
have.
gap between the dumpster and the fence. I
well,
forget-
it's
I forget
either
the
take
percent.
the long wall, somehow either capture the entirety of your property with that wall,
Yeah.
or close it
Basically,
off. There's-
basically, we're having to
Yeah,
move it around a
it's-
pole, but you want us to provide a continuous wall.
Right, it's just making sure we've got that
Good point.
corner closed
And
off.
Mr. Chairman, just connect the wall where it ends to the back of the,
Yeah, exactly.
Back of the dumpster.
Even that would be fine, it isolates what is ostensibly your property, but,
Right.
I mean, that's up to you,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It just needs to be closed there. aside from that, I really didn't have any other comments. I looked at the idea of maybe having a drive here, and then I realized that if I lived immediately north of
Yeah,
here,
that's
I
true,
would
too.
much rather have landscaping and a building that was a little farther away than any kind of thing. So ultimately, the one way in, one way out actually kind of works for me. I think that was, and with the commercial use on the side, you know, this kind of establishes a pattern that if another commercial use develops to the north, we'll kind of get the same rhythm going, just like you do with smaller. I think that's actually a good thing. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, other comments?
I have one more, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Buckler?
Your snow pile area, which is adjacent to neighbor property to the north and a fence line, if you're gonna truly use that for snow, can you design it so it slopes, so it drains onto your property when that giant snow pile melts? Cause I did a little back of the envelope calculation, and even a 2 or 3 inch fall is gonna make a big pile there, which this winter wasn't a big deal, but last winter was a huge deal, and when it melts, it's gonna flood out that person's backyard.
What we've got there in that corner, and I don't know, across the back, I know there was a comment, not trying to sidestep that, but also comment back here. What this, I think it was a comment on there, it's a 4-inch poured, looks like a sidewalk. And what this will do is keep cars from hitting this masonry wall.
Sure.
And so to the north, here on this side, we're gonna do the same thing so that people don't park there. So
Sure.
what it would do is give you, like you're just mentioning, a buffer.
Or will it be sloped so
Yeah,
that,
it-
okay, yeah,
The
so that when the
retention
pile,
is gonna
yeah.
be such
Well, the
that
whole
it will be engineered
Property has to be that way.
to keep that. It's a good point, because you don't want to.
We'll note that on the drawing as you've described it.
So that was the thought from and not to change subjects again, but the point on the, keeping this, again, we're moving it 10 feet, so it'll meet the requirement. From a, what would I call it, from a housekeeping standpoint, I find that because you're gonna have, obviously, garbage trucks in here for pickup, any kind of appliances that come in to go up, you're gonna have large vehicles for furniture or van. I find that the bigger radius that you have in here for that type of thing, the better. Especially with cars being this close, and it seems like it's a lot of room, but when you start manipulating and maneuvering bigger vehicles,
understand.
I find that the more room you have, fire trucks, emergency vehicles, that was sort of my thought from a housekeeping standpoint. And that's why we're hugging this line, to keep this, you know, because there's asphalt here, so we basically have a separation of a curb here, and then this is all driveway, so vehicles, if you know, for two-way traffic plus maneuvering in here.
The sense the dumpster would pull in, pull back. So we had to accommodate a little more room in
That
order.
is why he also, the light architect, for lack of a better word, had a pole right here. I asked him to move it over here so that it does not get in the way, because that's another problem, is you're cutting your radius down. That was another thing we looked at in the practicalities.
Mr. Chair.
But basically, the major point here is that you want to prevent any type of snow buildup, drainage, melt to have any opportunity to drain away
Yeah, I think.
or drain into the neighboring adjacent.
And to the neighbor's property.
Are you satisfied, Ms. Buckler?
I am.
Mr. Richardson?
I think Commissioner Smith made the point well, that the entire property has to be designed so that the drainage is into
Catch basins
the
will be.
basin.
Well,
This
I think that
does.
for normal stormwater runoff, you know, it's designed, but what was brought up is that extra consideration should be put into play for an area that's specific to the snow buildup, so that in the event that starts to melt, that's not going to have any problem.
That's part of the package.
Yeah, it is part of the package, but we're just taking note of the fact that an additional note was made for that issue.
This is a little bit off our subject area, but I was just wondering about hauling appliances and heavy things up to the 3rd floor. What do you anticipate? How difficult will that be? Or have you tried to accommodate that problem in your design? Can you comment on that? Televisions, refrigerators,
TV's way 10 pounds.
up to the 3rd floor.
Well, you know, again, it's not necessarily a specific code issue.
I know that.
I know, no, don't get me wrong. And so that being said, it's more or less a one-time convenience issue, okay? And you know, again, we're in, Berkeley's somewhat of a suburban area. It is a suburban area. And the majority, or I do a lot of development downtown with what's happening downtown. And, you know, there's a whole different dynamic of way people see the environment. And walking up 3 or 4 flights of stairs, when you compare what exists in New York, Boston, Chicago, is just not even a consideration.
So you're saying Art Van isn't going to be bothered by delivering
I,
a couch?
Why would they?
stories up? I'm just asking.
No, no,
That
no, I
was
mean-
the question.
No, it's a very good point, but, you know, again, it's a, you know, we're not designing for the convenience of necessarily someone bringing their couch up their stairs.
Agreed. I think we just want to make sure the couch can get in, that's all. I think that's
I think
all
the
it
width
is.
portion of it is very valid, Gary.
The newer construction aspect versus older will definitely allow that based on this much.
I think it's yours.
Other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Martin Smith?
Once, I've got a couple more points. One is, we asked for a bike rack. We got a lot of green space here. Drop a bike rack in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You can drop,
The bike is going to be located right in this area here, and you're right, okay.
okay.
We're locating in the corner so that it has more of an opportunity for security, and
So-
it's not on the plan.
Let's talk about snow. And people forget snow is also rainwater, just in a different form. But anyway, the intention is to pile the snow up along the north end of the property. Is that correct?
North and east, that's why we got that wall there too.
Okay.
I shouldn't call it wall, it's a poured sidewalk, which precludes people from parking right up against that.
Well, that saves the wall from their bumpers, yeah,
In
yeah,
the
yeah.
wintertime, again, from experience, that also will work that way too.
Okay. Now, this didn't occur to me until we started talking about the snow. I heard an echo. Snow against a masonry screen wall is one thing. Snow against a 6-foot vinyl fence is yet another. I don't think that's gonna work. You know, vinyl fences look fine. There's good ones, there's bad ones. They tend to sag or whatever. But it's not gonna hold up snow. It's gonna start drooping over to the neighbor's property to the north. If that is the intent for snow, I think we'd like to see something more substantial along the north property line, because the vinyl isn't gonna do it. It's gonna fall apart. And it's just not made, structurally, it's just not made to be a retaining wall for snow.
If I may on that?
You may.
That's also why this area here
Mhm.
is the same, not as thick, but it will be striped off for that purpose.
I understand.
And then secondly, my experience again on management on other properties,
Mhm.
specifically with that white vinyl product and having had it up for 10 to 20 years in areas way denser than that it does hold up. The problems that you might find with it is that the panels sometimes will push out. And the good part about those is they do snap right back into place. They do not get destroyed, because that is a valid point, as far as that goes. The problem I see with the concrete, that's why we definitely want to separate it, which we're doing, is with cars hitting it, because if you just tap it, the whole thing goes down basically. And I would vouch for my opinion of the white vinyl, because it looks nice all year round. And I'm purposely getting space here so that even with snow plowing against it, it should not be a problem. It's gonna be a permanent issue.
Well, I appreciate your comments, but this is something, I put a big note, and I'll bring my drawings with me next time. I'm not convinced. I see it, you're in property management, of course. You know, I'm an architect. We do a lot of buildings. We do a lot of multifamily. Vinyl, been doing it for a long time, too long. A vinyl fence is not a retaining wall for piles of snow. This year was a wimpy year for snow. We've had some years where there's a lot of snow. I'll accept your comments for now, but I'm gonna think about it, and I'd like you to think about it too. I don't find that as an acceptable barrier for a pile of snow, especially with the plow pushing it that way. But we can discuss that in the next month or two when you come back again. I think that's it.
Okay. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Murad?
I'd like to second Mr. Smith's comments about the fence, because that's what I started thinking. You're plowing the snow up there. I don't know if the vinyl's gonna hold up, so. My inclination would be to see wrap the masonry fence around.
The other option is push it all back to the east.
Well, it depends on how much snow we get. You know, it's a little bit, it's a lot, it's a problem. And,
That's why this is, again, hashed out. So that
I understand.
we won't-
I understand.
and have to live there. So we're trying to
Yeah.
address that right off. 'Cause to me, maintenance is a huge thing. And try to do things that's gonna make the property always look good without having to have, like, people put landscaping in there and no one maintains it. You really wanna do,
I understand.
in my opinion, something that's gonna make sure it wears well.
and if I may, I'll make one little suggestion. I see some people in the audience.
I'm gonna get to that in a
Right.
minute.
You have a neighbor with a, typical bungalow to the north. It may not be a bad idea. We had a couple of months ago, a PUD with a 3-story building, and the neighbors were out, and that's good. We like to hear what the neighbors say. I don't think they understood the proximity of the building, the bulk of the building, and the proximity of what their home is. You know, it was far away. And a couple of us brought up some comments, and I'm not sure we explained it right or got it through. It might not be a bad idea, when you do come back, have a little section through here, showing the bungalow, 30 feet, the height of the building. A little drawing, it doesn't have to be elaborate, you've done it before, oh, you've done it, we do it all the time, to show that the impact of this, because you are to the south, someone's gonna say, you're blocking my sun. And they have a legitimate concern. It would be a good idea to show it an accurate to scale, whatever scale you choose, a cross-section across here, to show where the building is, how far it is relative to its height and relative to the house. Just a suggestion,
Good suggestion.
but it goes a long way in site plan approval hearings.
Okay.
May I ask a question? In that regards, this particular location is allowed 36 feet height, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure that we're not in violation.
Yeah, but the bigger.
I understand, I just want to make sure that's the issue, okay?
Just a curiosity question. Are you gonna build it out of wood, or are you framing, or are you gonna build it like gauge metal?
Like what?
Are you gonna build it out of wood, or are you gonna build it, the framing out of wood, or are you gonna do it
Wood.
in light gauge metal framing?
Wooden,
Wood,
2x6 exterior frame,
okay. 2x6,
2x6. Staggered stud partitions
got it?
between units, demising walls.
Okay, there are people in the audience. If there's anybody that would like to address this issue, if you'd step up to the microphone. You can, if there's anybody that has any comments.
Hi, my name's Margaret Pringle. I live on Elwood, right across from Greenfield Church. Trying to word this. To me, and this is my opinion only, it looks like a box going between a beautiful church with lovely little, I've lost my words. A ceiling that goes this way, and bungalows on that side, and here's a box. I don't like that
Okay,
at all.
all right.
I also have the same concerns as you about snow. 3 years ago was the worst snow we've had in a long time, and there was way more than this backyard of this place could handle. It was more than I could handle.
More than most of us could handle.
I understand that this is in the beginning. Very definitely that became very obvious that this is just starting to get organized and figured out, and I'm truly against it. I would rather see 3 houses on those 3 lots than a box. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to comment? Okay. Thank you all for coming.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Mr. Martin Smith.
Amy, you may or may not know the answer to this. When was the last time a house was built, a single-family house was built on Greenfield?
I do not have the answer to that, but not
Eric,
since,
you've been here, both, you two have been here a long time. 50s? 60?
You know, I can't really remember because we moved here in 55, and I don't remember how, all of the houses were there that are there now.
There could be some that were built in the early 60s from the design. But you may be right. I'm just asking the
I don't
question.
think so.
townhouses,
There's just those
the
houses,
townhouses were
apartments
before
up
me,
there.
But I remember
Yeah.
seeing them in the file, so I think they were
I've
early
only, I've
90s.
only
Yeah,
been
those-
here
just
30,
as
I've only been here 30-something years, and
those apartments up there north of 12 Mile.
That's-
Townhouses.
Those townhouses.
you know, I'm
That's the only
talking about
thing
a
that's new.
single-family home on Greenfield. Yeah.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to know if that's something that there's a demand for, and I don't think that happens.
Nope.
Okay.
Because when I came here, Greenfield was 2 lanes, or 4 lanes. No, it was only 2 lanes,
I don't mind that it's flat.
one north and one south.
Okay, just asking a question.
And you
'cause
can
I
see
don't-
what it's become. It's become a
Chairman?
major thing. Yeah.
I think if you drive down Greenfield, you'd probably see something from the late 50s there. But I don't know that, because I think there are some slab-on-grade, one-story.
There might be one, yeah, I
Yeah,
think there is.
They're
There's one or
not, I mean,
two.
it's not that post-war bungalow with the
Yeah,
basement
I
and
think
the
there's a
story and half,
couple of
but-
them now that you mention it. Yeah,
But
I think there's
there's
2.
some of those
But it has
modern
been,
homes.
you know, say 1960, just to throw a number
Yeah.
out there. So it's been 55 years since a single-family home has been built in Berkeley on Greenfield Road.
Yeah,
Okay.
Even longer on Southfield side.
yeah.
Well, I'm more concerned, I don't think there are many on the Southfield side.
No.
Right.
Some very unfortunate-looking office buildings,
Yeah.
but not,
Right,
They tried to make them look like houses.
okay.
some of them.
All right,
Just a question, I was just curious.
have we given you enough instructions to proceed and move forward?
With these items, I think we took dubious notes of what
Okay.
you're looking for.
And I think, Ms. Vanson, you're going to send them a report, or?
Well, they have my report.
Okay.
From
Okay.
the one that you have, and I'll get the minutes typed up
Okay,
as soon as I
the
can.
minutes, and then you'll get a copy of the minutes.
I guess my question was, and I don't know because I haven't been in front of the board, is this something that we can work together with Amy to accomplish administratively? As far as all the issues, engineering to me is a engineering issue, is something to be addressed totally with the engineer in the city, the Clark, the company you guys have.
I think the planning commission wants to see you come back.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. I mean,
Okay.
we're ready for a motion, correct?
Yes.
Let me get my glasses. And I guess this would be a postponement, right?
Yes,
Not a
Yes.
table.
no,
Postpone.
postpone.
I move to postpone site plan 0116
Support?
with, no, there's no conditions, a postponement. Never mind.
It's postponing it.
I have to think about these things.
I know.
Mr. Chairman?
Month's a long time ago.
Mr. Morel, we're discussing, we got a motion.
Yeah.
Is it seconded?
I have second.
Seconded, okay.
I think it needs to be understood as part of the motion that the reason why we're postponing this is to allow the applicant to address our comments
Absolutely.
and the comments from the city.
Yeah.
Just as sort of a,
Okay.
Yeah,
As opposed
Everybody
to.
agree to that?
as-
that's, apparent from the
Okay.
minutes, I'm sure.
Now, the question is, when do you think you might be able to get back to us? Do you want to go for our April meeting, or do you want to go for May? April, sure. It's fine if you think you can make it.
When do they have to have it?
When do you have to have everything in, Amy? When would they have to have everything in?
Couple of weeks.
You got about 2 weeks.
Used to have a calendar.
used to
It's
have
the
a
fourth
calendar.
Tuesday, April
sixth.
26th, I think. April 26th, that's the fourth Tuesday.
Yes.
So they would need it, what, the
By
12th in there?
Yeah, April 12th.
Yeah.
Architects always go, no problem.
Right.
April 12th, okay. Okay. So we'll postpone it to 22nd.
We have to vote.
Could we have a real call vote, please?
Sure. Shadle,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Morel,
yes.
Murad,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
Buckler,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Barnett.
Yes. Okay. There's where we're at. Okay, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck. Okay, item number 3.
Is discussion regarding proposed residential form-based code. We had discussed having an open house similar to the master plan open house from several years ago. I talked with Kathleen Duffy at LSL, and I was asking her about her availability, and she didn't have an issue with Saturday, but she did caution that a Saturday in the spring, especially if it's a nice day, would not have great attendance. They've had better luck on a weekday from 4 to 7. You get, the folks get to leave work a little bit early to go to it, and they also get to, you get folks that don't want to stay out too late either. However, I was talking with Chairperson Barnett, and there has been some interest in having, we haven't had one for a while, but a joint Planning Commission City Council meeting to kind of chat about the direction of the city and so forth. So I had suggested that perhaps the form-based code, kind of previewing it before council might not be a bad idea before the open house. That seemed sort of
That's a good idea.
a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
And then if there were any other things you wanted to chat with council about as well, we could put it on the agenda. I did work up a rough draft just of things I thought you might want to talk about, but if you don't want to.
So we haven't set a date yet for that.
No, well, what I had suggested with the assistant city manager, I said typically, as I recalled, although it has been a while since we did, I thought we usually set it for the not the fourth Tuesday, the second Tuesday, when
Okay.
was your traditional work session
Work
back in the
session
day.
date.
So May was suggested as
Okay.
a good time, but I know, I think that that's reasonable, given that it's. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, yes.
Second Tuesday,
Second Tuesday in May, that's what that is,
tentative.
tentative. But obviously, if that doesn't work, or you think it's a bad idea, then we won't do it.
So you're looking at Tuesday, the May 10th.
Yes, that's what I have on the draft
Okay.
agenda, yep.
And if we have some other topics, we
Yeah, we
get back to you.
definitely, well, or y'all can talk about it tonight if you want. I know it's not on the agenda, but it was just discussed with me yesterday, so I didn't have time. Packet.
And then were we looking for a date to do the open house on the form-based code?
Well, we can, I don't know how, I mean,
Let's
that's.
do council and then go from there.
Okay.
Let's do council and then go from there. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so
Takes care of that.
May 10th seemed okay? And if
Yeah.
there are any
Yeah.
other topics you wanted to talk about, just let me know.
Okay?
Or if you think my ideas were fabulous. Thank you.
Okay.
I was going for adequate, but I'll take fabulous, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain citizens' comments, and it looks like it's fairly empty house right now.
Everybody's satisfied with what we talked
I
about?
guess so, which is nice, I guess. So I will close citizens' comments. We'll move along to liaison reports.
May I say something?
Sure.
Speaking of liaisons, would our city council liaison want a copy of this draft? Just
Sure.
since there's extras here.
Hot off the presses.
Okay. Environmental?
Environmental has not met, but I do have a question.
Go.
If it's in order, for Ms. Vanson. Some years ago, the city adopted a multimodal transportation policy.
We did a plan, we did a
Plan.
master plan update. that was multimodal, yeah.
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
It's a master plan, we amended the master plan and updated
Correct.
it, yes.
I should have said that.
It's okay.
Are you aware of any specific developments, recent developments that might be worth discussing with council, or is that kind of a back burner topic right now?
I think it's a back burner. I think the one item I had included on that draft plan was Coolidge, which I think definitely always comes up. I had thought about, we had done the bike path, and obviously council had okayed the bike route that Planning Commission had developed and recommended. I think it boils down to money and having the signage put in. So, that's a worthwhile discussion to have, and you'll have the capital improvements plan before you in April, like you always do, before the budget meetings. So that, it occurred to me, May 10th might not work because of
Budget?
budget. Yeah, I just thought of that.
All right,
Sorry.
all right, come back with us.
I will. We were talking about May, and that's why I had that date, but.
Might be June.
Or maybe another date in May, but I'll have to, I apologize.
Well, it'd be my personal desire to include an update on the multimodal transportation planning effort in our discussion with council.
Is there anything in particular, what mode?
Well,
Is there a particular mode you're concerned about, or?
Well, let's focus on bicycling,
Okay,
since that seems to be the mode where there's the most potential for some immediate steps
okay.
or pedals.
Very nice, funny.
EDA?
Last met Wednesday, March 9th, and it was a pretty well-attended meeting this time. And Doug Dietz was there, and he spoke about the community garden, and he and his high school volunteer gardeners are planning and getting ready to trim things in the city. And he asked for a contribution from the DDA for $100, and that was voted, and he got it. And then there was a couple of ladies that were representing the Ladies' Night Out, and they wanted some financial help also. And they requested $500 for their event, and they got that too. Then there was a woman named Erica Owens at Owens Social Media, and she introduced herself that she is starting offering help to some of the smaller businesses to handle their social media. And I spoke to her after the meeting and going, yeah, hello, I do need some help with that. And then there was a draft proposed amendment that will extend the life of the DDA to 2040, which pretty much passes all of us by. But it's important to get whatever you think you might want to see on this proposed list, just in case. And that's pretty much all of it. It was good.
Chamber, I did attend the meeting on the March 9th, last Wednesday night. Let's see, they're currently up to 155 members. They've started registration. They're actually doing this year for the first time, they're trying online registration for the Art Bash. So they already have 102 artists registered with 150 spaces available. So they have the registration deadline is April 1st, and the day of the event is June 11th. So it'll be here before you know it. The other thing they have going on is Commissioner Pop mentioned, this Thursday night, they're doing a ladies' night out, so a bunch of the stores in the downtown district are doing special events from 6 to 9 p.m.
Wine while you shop. That's good.
And they're starting to do a lot of stuff with the schools, which is nice to see. They're getting involved in DECA, and DECA's kind of a marketing program for the high school kids, and it's kind of nice to see them doing that, so. And that is about it.
All right, I attended council last night. This is the council package from last night.
That's small.
That's small. It's a very interesting meeting. Couple things. I think, first of all, Mr. Donnell, I guess is his name, who served in World War II, and he's passed away, but his family was all here. They occupied that entire corner of the council chambers, as the city recognized him. He was a graduate of Berkley High School, and his participation in the war efforts and was very interesting and very moving. This thing, and very wonderful to see all those people come. That family. He had 9 children.
Wow.
And 8 of the 9 were here last night.
And all of
One-
their children, and
Yep.
all of their children.
And their
I'm
children,
guessing.
and their
It's a lot of
children,
people.
and beyond.
It was very
And
nice.
One member couldn't be here. They were in the east, and they couldn't get here. But it was a very moving evening. You will know that on the second reading, the PUD has passed, and so I assume that will be moving forward. in
Sent
one-
Mr. Adler an email today,
And
and
so-
had talked with Derek Schuler and Dwayne
And
Franks
then,
and Kim Anderson,
work,
Building
nice.
Department, and how we want to move forward and what needs to get done next, so.
And
he's-
then Amy gave a presentation about all of the rate increases for all of the license, or the permits, fees, and all that extensive thing. And then the council, I'm gonna pass these around. Take someone and pass them around. I ran 12 of them, so there's enough here for everybody. Give Amy and give, there's a couple. I think there's enough. There's enough there you can give. I'll talk about, a little bit about this. And, yeah. Everybody's got one. Council, the mayor, Amy, and a bunch of attorneys, I gather, sat down and hashed out this Eaton Properties issue. And our city attorney did a presentation last night on it. As you all of us are aware of the Eaton property, you're looking at a drawing and you're looking north. The 3 properties on Eaton Road, we've already built a parking lot. We have the one in the middle and the end one. The one in the middle is the one that is owned by the T-Mobile. And then we have the bookend of Vincetta, which has been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I guess you all have decided to get together and try to solve this, and I don't know who
Oh,
came
this-
up with the whole idea,
Well, I
but
will tell you, it was in hashing it out probably well over a year ago, as we tried to figure out what to do about this. And I think it was when, it was right after T-Mobile, I think, came before the Planning Commission, and it was like, what do you do with this skinny piece of property? And we're not gonna let it dump onto Eaton, and it was actually the mayor that looked at the site plan and said, you know, what if we switched it around and had the lots go the other way?
so what they've proposed is to split the land north-south, with T-Mobile getting the north piece And it's roughly where, that property line, I think, is roughly where T-Mobile's property is. I'm not sure, maybe give or take. It's
The
close.
idea is that it would be proportional with what is
Proportional.
1036 Eaton now.
Yep. So what would happen is then there'd be a lot split eventually between the property. We will have to rezone that third piece. The 1046 piece needs to be rezoned parking. Then we've got a split, then they're gonna do a lot split. And then part of the alley to the Charter One Bank would be vacated in the area of T-Mobile. Now, all of this is conditioned on the agreements being drafted and drawn up, and everybody plays
It's
nice
drawn
and
up,
signed.
it just needs to be signed.
It needs to be
Everything's
signed.
been drawn up, and all the
So-
Ts crossed and the Is dotted.
So once that happens, then we'll proceed with first rezoning, and then we'll move forward. So I just thought I would update you folks on this, so you would have an opportunity to see it. Council saw it last night, and they they approved it. So,
Question.
yes.
The 1046 and 1036 Eaton currently have buildings on them,
Yes.
correct?
They will be demolished.
Correct. And I've forgotten, how many parking spaces are potential?
We don't know that answer yet.
Okay.
Will have to all be redesigned.
That's all got to be
Yeah.
designed. And there's a whole lot of issues about the
Grading.
grading of the whole property, and all that's got to be dealt with. And there's a whole mess of stuff here that's got to take place. So we're not there yet, but it's stepping on. It's a forward move on the thing. T-Mobile most likely will not develop that piece of parking initially, because they really don't need it now, and they'll probably remain as on just
A lawn.
lawn, grass or whatever. So we'll call it green space for now. Though,
A
what
well-maintained green space.
hopefully.
Well, that brings up a point. If they're gonna demolish the properties, is T-Mobile gonna be required to grass this? Because
They
it
have
just
to
can't be-
maintain erosion control, so it
Okay,
has to
so
be
yeah, it just can't be an
something
empty
you
lot.
Right.
Remember, we had an empty lot.
can't have dirt.
Yeah, it can't
Can't
just
have dirt.
you can't have dirt. You
Good,
just got-
good, good. Just making sure.
or soil, blank soil.
No, yeah, we don't want it 3 feet of weeds either.
And it has 7.5-inch tall weeds, so those are legal. Sorry.
So that's where we stand on that.
Residential.
Good.
So, yeah, we're
That's a
gonna
step.
see that in the future, but I don't know the
Parking.
dates yet.
And
We'll
we
see.
are- Okay, good.
So other than that, that's all I have on that. So moving forward, I guess what we'll do is go around the room. Anything, Mr. Martin Smith?
When's our new city, thank you, Mr. Chairman, when's our new city manager
I don't know.
officially?
As soon as possible.
Just-
I just got
Okay. I mean, it could be a week's, or he's officially employed by Berkley as well. Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson,
Well, I'd
are
like,
you all through?
I was just saying, another reason for the joint meeting, maybe get him there to introduce himself to everybody.
Yeah, it would be good. I
Oh,
just don't know when the
item
date
number-
is.
We'll give him number 1, so he can leave. No. Give him 5, so he has to sit through it all. Yeah. Okay, just a
Okay.
suggestion.
Okay.
well, I think everyone involved in these lengthy negotiations over the Vincetta parking situation should be congratulated for their persistence. I wouldn't represent here that it's the ultimate answer to everything, that every complaint that might be lodged down there, but it certainly is a step in the right direction, and it makes sense, as I think we all recognized a long time ago. So I congratulate the people that kept at it and made something happen here.
Ms. Pop?
When we were talking about the rental Airbnb, I mentioned it at the DDA meeting last month, I think. And Penelope clipped this article out of the New York Times, and it deals with the similar problem that they're having in New Orleans, and it's pretty darn interesting. So I will share this with whomever wants to read it. And it raised a lot of issues. One of the solutions that New Orleans came up with was to make it illegal for anyone to rent for less than 30 days, to rent their property for less than 30 days. However, you could get around that with a license. And considering what's happened and hasn't happened in New Orleans, it's not enforceable either way. It's not enforceable. But I was really surprised at how much money these, rental things, vacation sites, how much revenue they bring in. There were some big numbers discussed in this article. I can see why people want to do it.
Mr. Murick?
I'd like to echo Commissioner Richardson's comments about the Eaton property. It's good to see that there's finally progress. I just wish they'd just say, okay, we're just gonna make one big parking lot and share it, but it's a step in the right direction, so, good job. Thanks, everybody.
Mr. Morel?
Oddly enough, I have nothing to contribute.
Ms. Shannon?
All set.
Ms. Buckler? Ms. Vanson?
Nothing tonight.
Any comments from our council liaison? Okay. All right. Okay, I have nothing further tonight. Just wish everyone a happy Easter, and with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Morel, seconded by Commissioner Merritt. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's done.
I don't know if I can get all this back in.